Hey nerds, Bevan here. Welcome back to my channel. As promised in my last video, I am back today with my top 5 action figures in my collection. But really, when I say 5, I more mean like 9. I am starting off with an honorable mention because I just got this actually, and the reason it's an honorable mention is because it's not just the figure itself, it's because of the package that it's in, and that is this retro wave Spider-Man, which is unreal. This just brings back so much nostalgia from the 90s because other than wrestling figures, Spider-Man was the line I had the most toys from, and this is just like straight out of the 90s, and I friggin' just love it so much. I will be collecting more of these retro waves because the animated cartoon of Spider-Man is my favorite action cartoon of all time. Like I'd put it as cartoon second, like behind The Simpsons, but as a kid, this was my favorite cartoon for show. But let's get into the actual top 5 now, shall we? Before we get into it though, just make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe, and comment below the favorite action figure you have in your collection, assuming you are cool and collect toys like I do. We are starting off with WWE, but more specifically WCW. We're talking about Sting here. Sting is one of my favorite wrestlers as a kid, and this figure, this defining moments Sting, is just, it's perfect in every single way. And the great thing about this is because he has a painted face, you don't have to get like a true likeness like you do with the other wrestlers, which really puts this guy at an advantage. And then I had said 9, so like the honorable mention would make it 6, but then you can kind of see over my shoulder I got some NECA turtles here. All 4 are basically the same except for their heads and accessories, but so like they all kind of fit on the list, but I'm gonna go with Michelangelo because he's my favorite turtle, and the 1990 movie and the sequel, Secret of the Ooze, which I actually like a lot more. Those two are some of my favorite movies of all time. As a kid, absolutely my favorite live action movies because they're just so friggin' funny, and they got great action, and the turtles just like looked so awesome. The Michael Bay movies, they're good, I like them, but like nothing will ever touch this. And then we're gonna kind of stick with comic books because turtles are from comics, but we're gonna go DC this time. The Multiverse line is one of my favorite toy lines out there right now. It probably is my favorite toy line right now to collect, but they're putting out so many great figures. It's hard to pick just one. No, it wasn't, it was easy. We're Azrael from Curse of the White Knight. The reason I like the McFarlane figures so much is because they have like such heft to them. They're not just like a standard 6-inch figure. They're actually a 7-inch scale, which allows a lot more bulk and sculpt. And I wish there was bulk on skull because Power Rangers is awesome. But Azrael specifically has like this amazing accessory, which is like the fire sword, and this can come off if you wanted to, but I don't know why you would. But like the colors on him, whereas like you can see the rest, they're all kind of like, they're black, they're dark, they're gritty. But this is like a nice pop of color on the McFarlane shelf, and he's got like these tassels and just like so much sculpting and detail and size. He lacks a bit of posability, but for me that's fine because I'm gonna put him in the one basic intimidating pose that he needs to be in, and I'm never gonna touch him again. So I just showed you a bunch of like toy aisle action figures. Now it's time to get into a little bit higher end stuff. This here is my first ever SH Figuarts, and it is Rey from Rise of Skywalker. Now, I talked about how I prefer the 7-inch scale to the 6-inch scale because this figure is so dainty and it feels so fragile in my hand, but it's like the perfect Daisy Ridley likeness. Focus. And it's just like a beautiful, like it just like trumps anything Hasbro is doing, and it better because she was like $89 or $99 Canadian, so like she's a pretty penny, whereas the Black Series figure would have been like $30 at Toys R Us. But I held out for this one and I don't regret it at all. I just like don't want to pose it too much because like I said, it feels kind of fragile in my hand. Now I just want to make abundantly clear, this list was in no particular order, it's just kind of like how I grabbed them off the shelf. So this is not my favorite figure in my collection per se, but like obviously it's top 5, and we're talking about my highly anticipated and recently reviewed on the channel, Mezco Magneto. I don't really like that pose, looks like he's just like reaching out for some boobs, but I want him to be like magnetism, but he's just like boobs. So I'll have to repose that. But this figure is awesome. I love the costume of it. Unfortunately, Hasbro just announced they're going to be doing one too in the same costume. And I'm like, well, maybe I should sell this one and just get that one and use the profit to buy other toys. But I don't know. I love this figure. It's got great posability. Again, it's just 6" though, so it feels a little fragile in my hand. You know, like these NECA figures and McFarlane figures, they just have like a lot more to them. But it's beautiful. I reviewed this guy on the channel a few weeks ago, so like just go check that one out for more in-depth on Magneto. Those are the top 5 figures in my collection. I did a top 10, 2 or 3 years ago, and it was very different. Mostly because the turnover rate of my collection from then till now has probably been about 75 to 80%. I don't have a lot of figures now that I had 3 years ago. And that's just because like every few months my interest will change. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna sell my Marvel stuff so I can buy Star Wars toys. And then I'm gonna sell all my extra Star Wars stuff so I can buy wrestling toys. It's like, that's just kind of how I collect. Because I don't have a whole lot of extra income, but I am putting out the challenge to a few very specific people. Chris, DC Radia guy, whose link will hopefully be in the description below, if not, just search that. I am challenging you, and I'm challenging Nerdbuster, Arnell, and I am challenging Dre from Dre's Geek Depot to all do this same thing. Pick the 5 figures in your collection, and let's talk about it. Because that's what I wanted from you two anyway. I wanted to grow a little community and a little pocket of friends, and I've got that now. It took a long time, but I've got some guys now who are in my genre, I talk to on an almost daily basis, and I want to hear from those guys right now, the top 5 figures in your collections. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you really like the video, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you head down to the comment section and let me know out of these 9 figures, I guess, if you want to count the turtles as 1 or 4, it's up to you. Include the honorable mention of Spider-Man though. Let me know what the coolest figure you thought I showed off in this video was. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at BevinBoychuck. And until next time, folks, I'll see you next time, folks.